Viking burials. Life expectancy during the Viking Age was low, so Vikings were no strangers to death. To them, it was the start of the next great adventure, be it in the halls of Valhalla, the field of Folkvanger, Helgafjell, the Holy Mountain, or Hell, the underworld. On the 7th day after a person had died, their friends and family gathered for a feast called a Sjond. After everyone had drunk the funeral ale, the heirs were allowed to claim their inheritance. Viking mythology and poetry is full of terrifying spirits, ghosts, and undead corpses. Vikings believed that their dead ancestors would protect them, but only if their burials were performed properly and their graves were visited and cared for. Whether rich or poor, all Vikings were buried with gifts and belongings that would be useful in the afterlife. Sometimes, bodies were cremated because the Vikings believed that the smoke would carry a person into the afterlife. Cremated or not, the bodies were then buried. Sometimes, this was in a shallow grave, other times in a burial mound. Wealthy Vikings were buried in ships, full to the brim with their belongings. Food, furniture, clothes, weapons, tools, animals, and even slaves were all commonly buried with wealthy Vikings. The ships were either buried under a mound of earth or placed on a huge bonfire and burned. A fantastic example of a Viking burial ship is the Oseberg ship. It was buried in clay, so it remained intact for over 1,000 years before it was discovered in Norway in 1904. The ship contained the skeletons of 2 women dressed in luxurious clothes. Valuable items had already been stolen by grave robbers, but everyday items remained untouched, giving archaeologists an insight into what life would have been like for wealthy Vikings.